Here's the way I'm looking at it. You've got Washington. They've won 7 in a row, and they're coming off just destroying the number 1 seed Detroit Lions. So right now, I think they're everybody's darling. Philadelphia won. They had the lead in the game. It looked like it was going to be a comfortable win. And then all of a sudden, if you had Philadelphia, you were sweating bullets. Yes, I'm talking to you, Dan, late in that game last week when the Rams make, the furious comeback. Give them credit for that. But let's go back to Washington and look at the reality. I think Detroit came in there, and I know this is going to sound silly, and I'm going to get crucified in the comments section, which I love because you know what? When you crucify us, you help the algorithm. So go ahead and yell at me. Tell me why I'm wrong in thinking this way. But I think Detroit winning the final game of the regular season against Minnesota in the fashion that they did to lock up the number 1 seed, they came in here fat and sassy thinking they just had to show up and they were going to be able to win. Remember, we're talking about a Detroit Lions team that was in uncharted water. They won their first playoff game in how long last season? Now they're coming in with a bye week in the number 1 seed. Maybe they didn't really know how to handle that. I know Dan Campbell's never been in that situation. So let's mark that down for next year for the Lions, that they might have learned a valuable life lesson. Now, speaking of the life lessons, we've seen, and Teddy alluded to it, these teams that you want to talk about being, upstarts and come from nowhere, that, this is where they usually reality sets in. It's because they're not going to be taken for granted. And a team that's, overachieved means they're playing on the road again. This is going to be 3 straight playoff games on the road, 4 straight road games for Washington. They didn't have a bye, and they're going from playing in perfect conditions in Detroit to be playing in who knows what the weather's going to be in Philadelphia come Saturday or Sunday. I know right now, it's colder than hell all over the place in Pennsylvania. So it's not going to be perfect conditions for Washington. I still can't get past the fact that even though everybody's going to look and say, Washington put up 45 points on Detroit. Yes, they did. A lot of that was aided by the 5 turnovers. I can't get past the fact they gave up 31 points and Detroit gave away 5 possessions. How many points does Detroit get if they don't throw away all those possessions with the turnovers? This is a game where I think it's finally going to come down to they're playing a division rival. They know one another. Philadelphia's had 2 games where they won but really didn't look super impressive. But here's the thing. Does Washington stop the running game? And nobody runs the football better than Barkley. It would be better if Hurts was 100% healthy, because then you got to worry not only about Barkley, you got to worry about Hurts running the football, and then you also got to worry about the passing game. If he's healthy, watch the injury reports, find out what's going on from the beat writers during the week in practice. If he's a full go and can run everything in the offense, I think Philadelphia wins this game. 12 of their last 14 opponents, they've held to 20 points or less. One of the 2 that they didn't do it to, yes, was Washington in that turnover-filled game. But if you remember that game, right here on Bet On It, I gave out Washington against Philadelphia. And my reason for that game was, even though that was a division game, it was a sandwich spot for Philadelphia. They were coming off playing the Steelers, which at the time the Steelers were on their winning streak. That was a big game. And then they had Dallas the following week. And I know Washington was the better team this year, and they were a division rival. But to me, you had Dallas on deck. It's always a bigger game just because of the history with Dallas. I think Philly gets the job done. I think Philly goes to the Super Bowl. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Joe had one of them. Under in the first half. They're going to play field position and not wanting to make the first mistake. And we'll keep things simple for Daniels. 2, this is his first conference championship game as a rookie. I think they play tight in the first half. I would lean to the under. But full game, and yeah, look at those teasers. I got to be looking at the Philadelphia side. I think this is their game to win, and they get back to the Super Bowl.